Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. I've been away for a little while on vacation, but now I'm back. And looks like Wargaming dropped a pretty huge update, or at least huge news while I was away. So yeah, for those that aren't in the loop, though I'm sure you all are, World of Tanks 2.0 is coming, which is pretty ironic because 3 weeks ago I made a video telling people to step away from the game, or at least sort of saying that there was no really new content coming to this game, and that the game was kind of on a downwards trend, which I suppose it still is in terms of player numbers. But yeah, let's see what Wargaming has in store for us. I have seen this video. I have watched a few people review it, but I thought I would just do a little overview for those people that decided to subscribe. Thank you. And yeah, let's look into it. Now, I'm not going to go over, for example, the interface, the garage. I don't really care too much about this. Does it look a little more modern? Sure. Does it look a little more arcadey, a little more mobile gamey? I guess it does. I think the only gripe I have with this interface is and I think other people have said it, is the stat bar on the side. If you go, I don't know if you go through it, essentially when you're in the garage, there's no longer a stat bar. So you have, this is what you've always had. You have your tanks on the bottom. And then here you have the missions. And I like having the stats here, so I don't need to click and go somewhere else. Let's say I'm switching equipment around. I like to see all the little minute changes as they come. But overall, new garage, sure, that's fine. Not really impressed. It doesn't really affect me. Don't really care too much. And yeah, and I think the only other change that's pretty significant and is a good thing is that now you have the armor models in the game. Now to it would be nice to see how it actually works. So for example, I'm assuming you can pan around the tank and you can move your cursor around and you can see it all in detail. Honestly, I think these armor models look worse than they do in Tanks CG. I would still probably use Tanks CG, to be honest. But it's nice to have them in game. It's definitely good for new players. And I think the tank playlist thing is also, it's kind of cool. I guess if you're a content creator or a streamer, this is good for you. But it doesn't really make too much of a difference, does it? I mean, it's just quality of life things, new interface, not a big deal. But what I'm really interested in is the tier 11s. And the rebalance. And then there's some matchmaking changes, single player missions, new campaign missions. So overall, I will say this before we go into it. I'm really happy that they're adding new things to the game. And I think it's the only step they have forward. And I know I'm the first person that loves, tier 10 and is nostalgic for old Watts and the old tier 10. But guys, I mean, the game needed to make some changes, and there needs to be a future, right? War Thunder, for example, always said that they would end with World War II things, and they went into the Cold War, and they've got into the modern day. And the result is that more people have come to the game. The game has grown. There's more things to do, and there's still something for everybody. So I personally, we're going to go into it now. I personally am happy about tier 11. Would I have wanted them to do more Cold War tanks instead of the made up, ChatGPT tanks? Maybe. I'm kind of undecided. I do kind of like the aesthetic Watt has in terms of, I think, Watt has these like big, huge tanks, these old heavies. I'm okay with it. I think we'll see. We have to see what the tier elements are like. We have to see what the gameplay is like, and it's something that we won't know until September 2nd when the patch drops and we actually get to play them. But in the meantime, let's go into this tier 11 announcement, and I'll give you guys my thoughts as we go.
16 brand new vehicles at once. This is a major leap forward.
So yeah, tier 11 is here, 16 branches, and this means obviously you guys should uncheck accelerated crew training. We'll go over what tier 11s are coming to the game later. But yeah, uncheck accelerated crew training and start grinding credits. You're gonna need what? I guess it'll be 7.5 million times. There's 15. One of the tanks is going to be the reward from one of the mission marathons. So 15 tanks. What is that? 7.5 times 15. Hold on. Let me do the math real quick. I guess that would be around, you have to grind around 112 million credits. So yep, that's going to be a lot of credits. And then the XP, I think, what is it, like 320,000 times 15. So that'll be 4.8 million XP. So yeah, there's plenty to do. You guys are going to be really busy grinding these out. I'll be reviewing the tanks as they come out. But I'm a student and it's going to take me a while, so I'll grind, here and there, and I'll do reviews of the tier 11s as I get them. But yeah, again, I think this is an inevitable step for the game. I think this had to happen. Are we going to miss tier 10 sometimes? Maybe, but I think as long as Wargaming doesn't forget about, tier 5, tier 6, tier 7, tier 8, I think if those tiers remain relevant as they can, then I think it's good. There'll be a niche for everyone. And guys, the game needed to go somewhere, and I think this is the way forward. So I'm happy about tier 11.
Game, and an opportunity for you to discover a whole new layer of gameplay. This is an all-new picture of battle that you'll paint yourself. To get to a tier 11 vehicle, research it for XP and purchase it for credits. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, so 7.4 million credits to buy, 325,000 to research. And then you'll have to research, I think it'll be another like 300,000 to get all the quote-unquote field mods or upgrades for these tiers 11s. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of grinding to do.
7 heavy tanks, 5 medium tanks, 3 tank destroyers, and 1 light tank await.
Yeah, and the light tank is interesting because there's only going to be 1 light tank, and with a new matchmaking system, light tanks need to be tiered up with other light tanks. There's going to be a max of 3. So I don't know how they're going to do that, because there's going to be a point in the game where especially this first couple months, there's not going to be many of these. So I wonder how that's going to affect the matchmaking queue times and whatnot. I guess we'll see, especially on a small server like North America.
All these vehicles continue their existing tech tree branches with their own.
And I think it's definitely good they're focusing on the heavy tanks and the medium tanks first. I think those are a big priority. So yeah, what tanks will you have to get? I guess you're going to have to grind your mouse, you're going to have to grind your 50 beat, the can opener. I don't know why they added the can opener. I think this line is goofy. I think the names are silly, and I don't like double barrel tank guns. That's just my opinion. Is the can opener good? Yes, it's very good. I hate it. I think it's goofy and I don't like it. You also need to get the I7, the E5, and the BZ75. So those will be your heavies. This is called the BlackRock, and this tank here will be the Mission Marathon tank, which we'll go over later. And then for mediums, you have the CS63 you'll have to grind, the Leo, which I'm super excited for, the M48 Patton, which also looks really cool, 430U, and Batchat. So overall, really great picks. And what else? And we have the Badger, the Grill 15, and the Sturv 103. And then lastly, obviously, the RHM. So these are the tanks you guys need to grind. And also do it uncheck accelerated crew training on all your other tier 10s, because as we'll see later in this video, tier 10 or tier 11 will be fleshed out. So over the coming, year, 2 years, I'm sure we'll have, tier 11s for every single line in this game, which means the grind has grown tremendously.
Diverse play styles. There's plenty to choose from. Each tier 11 vehicle has its own unique mechanic. That may be an active ability that you can use at the right moment.
So yeah, this Taschen Mouse thing has 2 guns that fire HD. I think it's 500 alpha, or 250 for each gun, 500 combined. Honestly, most of all the tier 10s will have a special mechanic, all the tier 11s will have a special mechanic. I'm hoping they're not too gimmicky. They don't seem too gimmicky as of now. And as they say later on, it's not going to become a hero shooter. I hope that's true. I don't want this to turn into, Fortnite or whatever other games people play, League of Legends. I want to keep at least a semblance of, not realism, but the mechanics that WoT has always had. So I'm hoping they're just kind of add-ons that make the tanks a little more powerful, but don't do anything super crazy.
A passive effect that works automatically.
Yeah, I7 does ramming.
A situational bonus that activates in certain conditions.
Increased alpha. And even if I can't grind all these tanks out immediately, it'll take me a long time. I'll still do an overview of the stat blocks and the tanks as they come to the game. Um, I have enough experience in the game, and I know people and I can talk to people, and so we'll do a little overview of the tanks. I'll tell you guys what tanks I think are worth it and what tanks I think are not as worth it. Obviously, it'll depend on your playstyle.
Some boost firepower, while others enhance mobility or even reconnaissance.
Now, this is probably the most controversial and interesting mechanic that's coming. We need to figure out how this works because in theory, what people are saying right now, at least other content creators, is that if you shoot a tank and you hit it, it'll light the position of that tank, or at least the last known position of that tank. I'm assuming if the tank moves, the marker doesn't track it. I'm not sure yet though, because Wargaming hasn't really gone into it. I don't know. I've seen some interesting takes on this. Personally, I don't know if I'm the biggest fan. I think it'll be really bad on most maps. I think it'll be completely irrelevant in terms of most experienced players know where tanks are in bushes anyways. We know where to blind fire. This just alerts it to your team. However, teams are relatively slow to react. If the tank moves, then you have to wait another 30 seconds before you connect another blind fire. I think it's kind of clunky, to be honest, and I don't see it being that powerful, except on Prokhorovka, Malinovka. And in that case, yeah, I think it'll be pretty powerful. If you're playing a platoon, or if you're playing and you have some decent players on your team, then yes, it could be really powerful. One thing I heard Chems mention, which I really agree with, is the fact that it'll make light tank kind of gameplay pretty awkward because you're going to have a light tank that wants to spot, and if it's spotting, it shouldn't be shooting its main gun. But then you'll have another light tank that'll be like camping in the back, blind firing you. And so the dynamic for the light tanks is going to be weird because you're going to have light tanks that are sitting in bushes and can't use the mechanic. Then you're going to have light tanks that are going to be camping and using the mechanic but won't be spotting for your team. So to me, it just seems kind of weird and unnecessary. I think it'll be, again, as I said, irrelevant on 70% of maps, and on the other percentage, it'll be powerful in theory. But I don't know. Light tanks are a class that you have so much to do, right? I mean, you should be spotting, you should be doing damage, you should be moving around. Light tanks have so much to do, and this just seems like another thing that they have to do. And I don't know. I'm not convinced. But we'll see how good it actually is when it comes to the game. It's too early to tell. I just thought it was worth a mention. As far as the other mechanics, it seems like the Grill 15 one boosts damage, the 430U one boosts damage, the IS-7 has like a ram, extra damage upon ramming, the Taschen Maus has the extra guns that shoot HE, the Batchat has the extra clip. It can choose how many shells it loads into a clip. So generally, I find that the boosts are pretty tame, to be honest with you. And this is the kind of the newest, fanciest one. And we'll see how it works.
All of them highlight each vehicle's unique playstyle. The new vehicles feature an upgraded system exclusive to Tier 11, replacing field modification.
So essentially, I'm going to skip over this, but essentially this is just field mods, except you don't need to choose between them. You need to basically research all of these and buy them all. I don't know actually how much they cost in terms of credits, but in terms of XP, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 60,000, 90,000, 110, 150. It looks like it'll be around, 250, 300,000 experience to get all of these. So that's a lot of grinding. Not only do you need to do 300,000 in your tier 10s, you need to grind 300,000 in those tier 11s for them to reach their maximum characteristics. And basically what these do is they'll increase, gun handling, HP, reload, etc., etc., etc. So they're just field mods where you don't have to choose what you want, essentially. You just get to buy everything. I think the prestige kind of rewards are much nicer than they are before. I mean, who really cares about your tank elite rewards before anyways? They were completely irrelevant. This is cool because you get one that counts how many vehicles you destroyed. Okay, sure, a little vanity thing, that's fun. I really like that they have 3D styles or 2D volumetric 2D styles. I think that's excellent. Um, and then lastly, oh, I should probably remove that. Um, and then lastly, you get, like a gun cover, stuff like that. I think cosmetic changes are great. Wargaming should focus a lot more on these cosmetic changes. I think it'd be great for monetization and great for grinding. And I don't know why they do more of it. But yeah, we'll just keep skipping through.
Volumetric 2D styles and gun sleeves.
Yeah,
and
so
to
good
get
stuff.
all this, all you need to do is play. Play at the new tier. Update 2.0 aims to improve gameplay in all areas, and the big rebalance is a crucial part of this. It was broad and systematic, taking into account the introduction of...
So this is huge, and I'm going to do a separate video on this, but essentially they've reworked almost every tech tree rank. I'm going to do a video focused on, I think, tier 8, tier 9s, and tier 10s. I think those are the most relevant to most people. And then the other changes, you can see them on the World of Tanks website. But yeah, we'll do a separate video. We'll go over the changes that are being made to the tier 8s, tier 9s, and 10s. And yeah, I am excited for the rebalance. I don't actually know what they've changed. I have not looked at it yet. I will look at it later and I will make a video. But yes, I am excited for that. I actually think most tanks are pretty balanced nowadays. I don't see a big deal with the balancing of Watt in terms of the tanks themselves. I think Watt is more balanced than it's ever been at the moment, with a couple exceptions perhaps. But good nonetheless to maybe have some vehicles tuned up, some vehicles turned down a little bit. Hopefully Wargaming does a good job with that, and I hope that some of the, I don't know, I guess they're not going to nerf. I guess if they bring tier 8 tech tree tanks in line with tier 8 premium tanks, that's an excellent thing. And I would be happy if they buffed a couple of the tier 8, premiums that are really forgotten, like the AMX CDC, or I don't know, like the 59 Patton, the FE4202, the T25 Pilot. I doubt Wargaming will touch some of these, but FCM 50T, for example, would be cool if Wargaming buffed some of these old tanks that have been really forgotten. And if they brought tier 8 and tier 9 tech trees in line with tier 8 and tier 9 premiums. Granted, tier 9 premium tech trees are better than tier 9 premiums at the moment in general, with the exception of maybe the DZT 159. I think that's the only tier 9 premium that really, comes to mind as a tank that's pretty good.
Tier 11. Changes have been made to almost the entire vehicle roster. This is a complex package of adjustments that, together, will enhance the experience for every player. First, stock vehicle configurations have been significantly improved. This smooths out the dips in their combat potential as you progress through tech tree branch research. The top configuration will remain the strongest, but vehicles will now feel more comfortable to play right out of the box.
So that's really good. If they're reducing the XP required for stock modules, or removing some stock modules altogether, I think that's a really great change. I think it was long overdue, and that should really help maybe not new players, because let's be real, Watt doesn't have many new players, but it'll certainly help players that don't have many branches researched, and I think it'll help almost all players in general. So I think that's a really great change. Thumbs up.
Second, the module system has been simplified.
Yes.
All
okay.
radio modules, apart from the top ones, have been removed.
Okay, another good change.
No longer affects load capacity.
Okay, that's huge. That's huge. You don't need to research the upgraded suspension on tanks. I mean, I think that's a great change, because there was nothing more annoying than not being able to mount a gun or mount like a gun rammer because you didn't have the top suspension. So yeah, really good change.
Restrictions on modules and equipment for stock configurations. This applies to all researchable vehicles in the game. On top of that, targeted improvements have been made to hundreds of vehicles across multiple
tiers. Yeah, so this is just the buffs that are happening.
Researchable light tanks have gained more hit points.
Okay. Researchable light tanks, more hit points. Yeah, okay, sure.
A number of premium tanks have...
I don't think light tanks can compete with medium tanks, even if they have more HP. I saw Quickie Baby was saying that light tanks don't have the penetration over distance, they don't have the DPM, they don't have the gun handling. And they don't have the armor models to compete with medium tanks. I think giving light tanks an HP boost is great. I still don't agree with CVS being an equipment choice. I think CVS should be removed. I think turbo should be removed, and I think hardening should be removed. Controversial, maybe. I think it makes the game worse. I think it makes the game faster, and I think it messes with the balance of the game too much. That being said, I don't have a problem with light tank HP being improved. I think it's a good change. I think light tanks are a class that's unforgiving. I like my light tanks. I play my light tanks well. And I don't think it'll make light tanks compete more with mediums. I think it'll just make them more competitive. And as the hardest class to play in the game, the highest skill cap class, I agree with the buff to light tanks. I think light tanks are fun and great and a really good part of the game. So, yeah.
Been improved. Many underperforming tier 10s have been buffed, including the Type 5 Heavy and much more.
Okay.
All this will improve your experience.
Again, we're going to look over this in a new video. I'm really interested to see how they buff tanks like the Type 5. I don't think the Type 5 needs that much of a buff, to be honest. I know it's a bit of an XP pinata, but if you play it well, you can do a great job in it. I had a really fun time 3-marking the Type 5. The only thing you need to do is get the field mod that improves the HP of the ammo rack. As soon as you fix the ammo rack problem with the Type 5 is fine. So we'll see how they buff it, and we'll see what else they buff.
You progress.
Again, I think most tier 10s are pretty balanced at the moment. Maybe the Progetto 65 needs a buff. And I can't really think of too much else. Most tier 10s are very balanced. So we'll see what they do.
Through any tech tree branch. The big rebalance will improve the quality.
So I would say I would like a buff to the AMX-30B, the 113, the collector's vehicles. I think could use a buff. But we'll see if they do that or if they forget about those tanks.
Quality of battles, especially in tandem with the new Matchmaker.
Okay, new Matchmaker, let's see.
The Matchmaker is essential for a comfortable gaming experience. To make it smarter and more flexible, we've almost completely rewritten its core, its very foundation. So now, battles now feature the most varied possible vehicle lineups, even when there are a lot of similar vehicles in the queue.
Okay, variety is really important, so I hope they keep the variety in this game. That's the only reason I'm not against +1 or +2, -2, is that I like variety in WoP battles. Let's see.
Teams are more often built with a one-tier difference. Vehicle roles are taken into account. For example,
that's really important. For example, we need E3s and Badgers to be matched up against each other, and we don't want 3 E3s in one team and 3 Grill 15s on the other team. It's completely ridiculous. So if they're matching up the classes of tanks and the kind of the gameplay of the tanks, then I think that's really good. You know, we don't want like an AMX-50B matched up against a mouse, you know? So I think that's a good thing.
The Matchmaker will put a Badger against a T110E3.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
Not against a Grill 15.
Okay, yeah, well, they took my example. Amazing. I actually didn't remember that when I watched this.
Teams are limited to 3 light tanks.
Okay, 3 light tanks is still too much. We only need 2. You could have 3 on like Prokhorovka and Malinovka if you want to. There could be some maps. I don't see a problem with having maps being dynamic in terms of the tanks that are allowed. I would have Proc and Malia, have 3 tanks, 3 lights. Most maps don't need 3 lights. I hope they reduce it to 2, and I hope they are reducing artillery down to 1 per game. I don't care if your queue times are long. We don't need artillery more than 1 RD per game. That's just the way it is. There's no reason to have you being perma-stunned in all your matchups. So please reduce artillery to 1 per match, maximum 2 per game.
And 5 tank destroyers each.
5 TDs is fine. It's like the upper limit of acceptable. I'd prefer 4, but 5 is okay, I guess. Lots of tank destroyers and lots of light tanks in matches ruin matches. Tanks or games should consist of mostly heavies and mediums. It's just the way it is. It's just the way the best gameplay is when there's more heavies and more mediums on your teams. Just the way it is.
And most importantly, the Matchmaker now adapts better. It reacts to the number of players in the queue and the distribution of vehicle types and even roles.
Yeah, important. That's what we said.
And finds the best compromise between reducing wait times and assembling the 2 most balanced teams.
Okay, that's good.
With the latter always taking priority.
Yep, that's better. I'd rather have a balanced matchup and wait a bit longer. Okay, new story mission. Now,
the world is on the brink of great changes.
Now, basically, I'll just summarize this pretty quickly. Basically, there's a new story mission you can do. You can take control. In theory, you can drive around 3 tier 11s during the story mission. We don't know what the rewards are. We don't know how long it is. We don't know if you can replay it. So I'm not going to comment on it. I'm going to skip this section because they don't really give you any details here. But hopefully it's, I don't know, hopefully I guess it's something that gives you some credits, something you can replay, or something that has lots of different stages. I'm more interested in the personal missions, so we're going to go to that. When they give us more info for the single missions, we can look into it. But right now, I'm just going to skip over it because I'm more interested in the personal missions, and we don't know much yet about the story missions. So we'll leave it for now.
Secrets of Nordscar Island will lead you to Sector 3, the third personal missions campaign.
This is great.
An all-new
We
challenge for
needed
your
this.
skills that's drastically different from the 2 previous campaigns, with new conditions and worthy rewards.
Let's see. Looks like a Concept 1B. Or,
The campaign consists of 3 operations, each of which is divided into 3 series of missions:
Cool.
Vanguard, Ambush, Assistance. Each series is completed in vehicles of corresponding
Okay.
roles.
That's excellent. Basically, it's not. There's 3 sets of missions for each tank, so you're gonna get 3 rewarded tanks, and then for each of these tanks, you're gonna get you have to complete 3 sets. So to get all the 3 tanks, you're gonna have to complete 9 sets of missions, and it looks like it's divided by class to an extent, but also, let's
Is
see.
completed in vehicles of
Yeah, so there's a repetition of classes here.
roles.
But also it's by roles, so it'll be assault. I don't know what the roles are. I never cared about this. I never needed to learn it. It wasn't in the game when I started, but essentially there's going to be different roles of tanks. You know, you have like your assault tank, and you have your sniper tank, and you have your support tank. So you'll be able to fulfill these with different roles. So that's excellent. And it looks like you don't need to play artillery. It looks like you can do this in light tanks or artillery for this third one. So you can do all your damage, all your assist damage you can do with spotting in light tanks, or with tracking in light tanks, and you won't need to play artillery, which is so good. Thank you, Wargaming, for fixing this. So yeah, it looks excellent.
No missions are restricted by vehicle type or nation. Just
Cool,
3
cool.
general groups by role.
Perfect.
The
Gives you a lot
mission
more flexibility.
conditions may not be easy, but they're all achievable.
I mean, things like, so Wargaming is sorry, pardon my language, but pretty idiotic with this kind of thing. In terms of block 1500 HP of damage while your vehicle is stationary. What's the point? No good player will ever be sitting completely still, because it allows people to look for overmatches. It allows people to look for weak spots. It allows people to look for cupolas. Shoot HE into like more vulnerable spots. No one should ever be still in a heavy. If you're side scraping, you're gonna be moving. So missions like this are completely ridiculous. Now this won't be hard, but Wargaming really needs to stop designing missions that have like little tiny caveats, which make them difficult for no reason, and make you play the game worse. This mission makes you play the game worse. I am not kidding. This mission makes you play poorly. I hate this, and they did it for the 279. They did it for the 260. I finished all the missions. I have all the tanks, and I think these missions like this are stupid. So hopefully there's less missions like this, and there's more missions that are like farm 4,000 damage over 10 games, or farm 3,000 damage over 10 games. I don't know, but you know what I mean, right? Missions where you have to, play well, be consistent, or, get 6 kills, or whatever they want to do, right? I have no problem with difficult missions, but I want them to be, skill-based. I don't want them to be, kind of like sit still, drive in a circle 3 times and bounce 6,000 HP while spotting 2 light tanks, It's like, there's no point to that, right? The missions should make people improve at the game. If not, the problem is you have 30 players on both teams that are just playing, poorly just because they want to finish a mission. Like the capping mission, right? Or there's lots of missions that are pretty ridiculous if you go back and look at them. So hopefully, this is a one-off and there aren't too many missions like this. But again, it's Wargaming. I expect some of this, but we'll see. Hopefully, the missions are, doable, they're fun, and they make you play well and, improve.
Each operation will be considered completed after its progress bar is filled. You can fill it not just through the main series missions, but also through daily and weekly ones, at any ratio at your own discretion.
Yeah, so this is interesting as well. What this implies is that you can grind out these missions not only through fulfilling the mission, the exact mission conditions themselves, but you can also kind of like build up points in a bar and complete them over time. Now, I don't know how I feel about this. In a way, I want the missions to be kind of skill gated, um, but we don't know exactly how it works yet. So I'll save my judgment for later. It could be that it takes, a lot longer to fulfill the missions if you do it if you do them during the daily missions and whatnot, and you don't actually complete the mission requirements themselves. So I'll reserve judgment. I mean, I do want content to be accessible to everyone at the end of the day. So I think it's okay. It is what it is. This is modern WoT. Things have to change. And while I would prefer, kind of missions to be skill gated, there's plenty of things in this game that are skill gated, or at least that you get a lot quicker if you play better. So I think it's fine, And at the end of the day, we want to draw people in. We want to make the game more accessible. We want to make the game more fun. We want to have things for people to do. So it's okay. I think it's good. I just wanted new personal missions, new reward tanks that you can grind towards, and this gives you that. Looks like it gives you a tier 8, a tier 10, and a tier 11, which I think is fantastic. So yeah, super excited for this.
This means you're always moving toward your goal.
Yep.
Even if you're stuck on a tough series
Exactly,
mission.
so you can just get through the mission regardless.
After you complete your first operation, the Tier 8 Windhund Tank Destroyer will appear in your garage.
Cool.
Awaiting you in the second operation is
see if it's a premium. Hopefully it's a premium tank. Maybe it'll just be a reward tank. If it's like any other personal missions, it'll just be a reward tank. But yeah.
Tier 10 VZ60S Dravitz Heavy Tank. Finally,
this thing looks pretty mean. I think I saw someone look at it on Tank CG. The armor model looks absolutely cracked. So this thing will be a menace, but we'll have to look at it. We'll do a review of it at some point.
When you complete the third operation, you'll get the rarest and probably the most coveted Tier 11 vehicle, the Black Rock.
Okay. We'll see how this thing is.
Its characteristics are complemented by a unique firing mechanic that really makes it.
It literally looks like a Concept 1B, and the other Tier 10 that they added into the assembly shop, I forget what it's called because I didn't get it, but it looks exactly the same.
The effort. But no matter how outstanding the Black Rock might be, first and foremost, it's a symbol.
And it looks like it has a double shot as well. So most double shots in this game are very powerful. So yeah, it should be a good tank.
Old hard proof that you're damn good.
I mean, if you're grinding it through daily missions, it's not cold hard proof that you're damn good. And I've seen plenty of bad Object 260 and 279E players. So I don't think it means that, guys, but I think it's great that they're giving us a tank to grind towards, and I'm really excited for it. A new map.
The island where the sector.
I'm worried. This should say new maps. This should be plural. I guess we're only getting one.
3 story begins isn't just the setting for a solo mission. It's also a full-fledged random battles map.
It's got an open area.
Nordscar is a new battlefield.
This doesn't look great for light tanks. It could be okay. Maybe there's some bushes. We'll see.
That will transport you to a Norwegian island turned secret base.
Okay.
The launch pad and design workshops create cover and
got a
key positions on 2 different flanks. The workshops are the arena for close-range brawls, with the overhead pass offering the opportunity to close in on the enemy. In the center of the map, you'll have plenty of space to pick up speed, then find...
I'm sorry, but this reminds me a lot of, what is it called? Safe Haven, maybe? The map with the harbor, the special event where the ship comes in, it's got like the hills on the side. This looks almost exactly the same. That map is not very well balanced, but we'll see.
Places to stop and spot. The launch pad has both enough space for maneuverable combat and terrain with cover. Its underground part also provides opportunities for flanking and sudden strikes.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. It's got an underground part, it's got an upper part, it's got, a tiny field, I guess. We'll see.
Explore this new map and its unique atmosphere. Find your own ways to victory on Nordscar.
Okay, yeah, it looks like there's only one map. Oh, and then I've heard of this, but we'll get into that later. I don't know. I'm disappointed. I know I've asked for new maps. I asked for new maps 3 weeks ago in the video I made, and now we get a new map, and I'm complaining. I hope there's more new maps to come. I think Wargaming has a lot of maps that they should rework. I think we need changes in the map design. Um, I don't know. This map seems pretty similar to other maps we have. Um, I would like more new maps, or at least reworked to current maps, or the addition of some of the old maps reworked. I know someone like, I think Daki, and I respect Daki a lot, said that he doesn't think we need new maps. I know Kaiju says the opposite. He says that we do need new maps. I agree with Kaiju. I think the map rotation is extremely stale, and I think there's two reasons for this. One is that we've had the same maps for a long time. We get maps added, we get like one new map every year, which I don't think is enough personally. But the biggest thing for me is the way the map rotation works in this game is it picks from a pool of maps, it picks a selection of maps, and then you get maybe 6, 7 maps that are rotated every 3 or 4 hours. So there'll be days where you don't see certain maps at all, or a session where you see no maps and you see the same map 3 times. And guys, I'm sorry, but I'm exhausted with this. I don't want to play, Himmelsdorf 4 times in a row, or 4 times in a 3 hour session, where I'm only getting Prokhorovka in between. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this. It's not a conspiracy. It's legitimate. So other CCs have talked about it before, and it's well known among people that who are 3 marking tanks and whatnot. And it's why people on EU, for example, switch between EU1, EU2, EU3, because you get a different map pool depending on what server you're on. So I think either the map pool needs to be reworked, and you need to get, instead of 6 maps getting rotated, I want like 12, 14 maps to be rotated. Um, or we need new maps, reworks, and the addition of old maps. And that's just my opinion. I think variety is the spice of life. And I'm sick of the same maps over and over. And there's people who play a lot more than me and who must be terribly sick of it. So yeah, I'd be really interested to know if people feel the same way. But me personally, I want new maps. Please, Wargaming, please give us more new maps.
Another game mechanic improvement is the updated armor penetration indicator. Pressing the Y button lets you highlight the armor not only at the aiming point, but also...
Okay, so this only works at a distance of 300 meters. They explain this later in the video. You guys can watch it on your own time if you want to. And basically, it's an expanded feature which expands upon the kind of the reticle we have that lights green, yellow, or red. It'll be a lot more accurate in terms of showing what you can pen and what you can't pen. How do I feel about this? I'm not going to use it because I know where all the weak spots are, and I know that might sound arrogant. I guarantee you it's not. There's a lot of people who know. Anyone who's been playing this game for ages knows where all the weak points are. Okay, that's just the way it is. For me, it's something that it would slow down how I aim. I think there's a way to change it in settings where you don't need to press a button to highlight it. It just highlights automatically. I guess you can leave it on if you want to. For me, it makes the game look even more arcadey. And I don't like it. Personally, I'm not going to use it. Now, what about, does this help new players? I suppose it does. It helps new players who don't have everything memorized, who don't know where all the weak spots are, who encounter a new tank in the moment, they can kind of figure out what to do. I think it removes some of the skill and some of the learning from the game. Let's face it, there's not really many new players. Will we attract more? I don't know. I kind of doubt it, maybe. But I think the game is for the veterans and for the current player base. I don't see the player base growing too much. I see it staying pretty similar. So I think it kind of alienates some, more experienced players, but maybe it's a bit selfish of me to think that. But overall, I think I don't like this. This is like the only feature so far to this update that I would say no, just remove it. I think it's goofy, and I don't like the addition of this feature. And I don't think it's me like gatekeeping gameplay or anything. I think it's just like, I don't know. I think that's part of the game, is learning weak spots, learning how to angle, and making a judgment of whether you can pen something and whether you can't. And I think this just kind of removes some of that. And I also seeing it being a little awkward for people. Like you're gonna have a noob who's aiming at you, and you're gonna be like, just dominating them, and they're going to be like awkwardly moving their mouse around looking for like a spot where it shows green. I don't know. I just don't like it, but it is what it is. It's here to, I'm sure it's here to stay. But yeah, here they say it's what? I think it's 300 meters it gets activated.
The aiming circle, and at a distance of up to 300 meters.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, it's a huge whatever. There's also, they've done a sound rework. Okay, sure. That's great. No complaints there. And then they're adding some more random events in on whatever these maps are. So yeah, I think the random events are good as well. This video has probably gotten pretty long, so I kind of want to cut it here. Overall, what are my thoughts? I think the garage is great, but it makes no difference to me whatsoever. The interface, same thing. Sure, change it. Doesn't make too much of a difference. I think hopefully these armor models are good, and it works seamlessly in the game, and it's as good as Tank CG. Now the big news, tier 11. I think it's inevitable. I'm happy that it's here. I think it gives people something to do, and I think change needed to happen in this game, and I think this is one way of doing it. Instead of having power creep tier 10s, loot box tier 10s, now we get tier 11. My only reservation about tier 11 is, one, do I wish they'd done Cold War tanks? Maybe. I think we'll see what reactions are to this. I also think this gives Wargaming some more agency and lets them do kind of whatever they want, make some tanks up, use blueprints, and maybe it's okay. So I'm not opposed to it. The other problem I have with tier 11 is that this means, and I kid you not, that tier 10 premiums, tier 10s and loot boxes are coming. If tier 9 was becoming the new premium tier, it will become the new tier 8 100%, and tier 10 will slowly become the new tier 9. Expect Romfault loot boxes again. Expect tons of new tier 10s in loot boxes for events, and not as researchables, but as premium vehicles or reward vehicles. So yeah, I mean, this is just the way it is. If tier 11 is coming, it lets Wargaming, expand upon tier 10, and that's just, for better or for worse, that's what's going to happen. I'm telling you right now. Rebalance, I think it's good, but we have to see what the changes are. Again, I'm going to do another video on this. Matchmaker changes, I think, are overall very good, so I'm happy about that. Single player mission, yeah, I don't see what the problem is. Why not? Why not have a single player mission? I think it's great for people to learn, play around with. Hopefully they actually have rewards for it, Wargaming. Please give people rewards for playing the game. 100,000 credits, 50,000 credits per game or per mission. It's not going to kill you. Please reward people for playing, and for replaying. And personal missions, excellent. New map, not that excited for this map, but hopefully we get more new maps. Armor flashlight, only thing I'm purely negative about. Sound good. So overall, if I had to give this out of 10, I'd say I'd give it like a 7 or 8 out of 10. I know tier 11s are nerve-wracking. I know people don't like change, but the game has to change, guys. The game had to change. This had to happen. This was the only way forward. So overall, I give it like a 7, 7.5, 8 out of 10. I'm happy about this patch. I'm happy that there's something to do. And yeah, I'll be reviewing the tanks as I unlock them, and I'll be doing another video soon about the vehicle rebalance and my thoughts on that. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. I know I've been away for a while, but I think I'll be uploading a little more frequently these next couple weeks. And yeah, stay tuned, guys. Thank you for watching.